Hello, I am the Irish guy, and Premier League predictions are back. I mean, we all know why you're here. Queuing up to see if I finally cracked it this time. And I'm putting it out there. This is going to be the best predicted table on the internet. Not a single person will get more right than me. I'm going to get 20 out of 20 completely right. Actually, 20 is a lot, isn't it? 15 out of 20? Oh, I know. Okay, all right, I know. I'm going to eat shepherd's pie out of a stranger's car before the season starts. I'll do it next week, all right? Right, let's go. By the way, lads, if you want to subscribe, that would mean the world to me. Absolute legends. Back into the video. 20th, Wolves. There are very few words in the English language I could adequately describe Wolves' transfer activity. Never mind Wolverhampton Wanderers. It's a bit like watching a 9-year-old doing their family's food shopping for a month, and instead of buying the necessities like shampoo, toilet paper, and food, it's just a basket filled with lollipops and Spider-Man toys. I know there will be some aghast Wolves fans who will be offended that I've selected you to finish last, but I am sorry. This summer, the club have lost Ruben Neves, Diego Costa, João Moutinho, Adama Traore, and Raul Jimenez, all of whom, at their career peak, would have cost at least £70 million in this current transfer market. Okay, well, maybe not Adama Traore. He still just has the end product of cauliflower soup, but I mean, he still also played for Barcelona. Shocking the fact that Wolves have also officially sold Connor Cody and his replacement Nathan Collins in the same window. Also, remember Luke Mattison, that Rochdale Wonderkid defender who scored against Man United in the League Cup whilst he was still at school and was quickly snapped up by Wolves? Despite looking like he runs a niche YouTube channel from his bedroom in Hull, he was going to be the next English superstar. Now, he's just been released at 20. And what new players have Wolves actually signed? Both Mateus Cunha and Boubacar Traore were already at Molyneux on loan last year, and Matt Doherty spent 10 years at this club before. These aren't exactly exciting new buys. Who is going to score them goals? Clearly, they're just hanging their hat on Sasa Kalacic. Last summer's big money buy from Stuttgart? Yeah, he tore his ACL in his debut. Hasn't played since. For all we know, he could now have the mobility of a crippled penguin at the zoo. I really do think that Wolves are in for a horror season. And I know there'll be some fans who'll say,
"Oh, no way will we finish bottom under Julian Lopetegui."
No, you won't, because he'll be sacked at Christmas. Lopetegui has a nice CV, but it doesn't mean he's some magical wizard who's unable to get relegated. Yes, I know he had the biggest job in Spain, but David Moyes had the biggest job in England. Both men were very quickly sacked. Lopetegui rebuilt his reputation by going to a mid-table team, where he then won a European trophy. What did Moyes do last season? Moyes also finished bottom of the Premier League with Sunderland, because he had a rubbish team. I'm sorry, Lopetegui, but it's going to be an absolute disgrace of a season. Wolves will be so bad, they'll scrape less than 30 points, will be relegated in mid-April with Andre Villas-Boas at the wheel. Ouch! 19th, Sheffield United. Sheffield United are down already. I know they are. I'm sorry. But this is a very similar squad to the one that finished last in 2021. Even the manager, Paul Heckingbottom, is the same. But Sheffield United have barely done anything in this transfer market. They've chucked some experienced players out the window, as if they were moldy bags of cheese. They won't put up much of a fight. Again, they'll only get about 32 points, and also be relegated before the start of May. It's just going to be a complete waste of time. If the Blades don't go down, I will walk to Sheffield, knock on the local priest's door, and beg him for forgiveness. That'll be a weird vlog. 18th, Nottingham Forest. I like Steve Cooper. I think he's a good coach. He's not one of the overrated ex-Swansea managers who I find so incredibly nauseating. I mean, can you imagine a picnic with Potter? Imagine having to make small talk with this emotionally intelligent nerd chatting about 13th century poetry whilst he reaches for the pudding. Oh, no thanks. But as for Steve, I mean, it does seem like genetical DNA was very unevenly spread amongst the famous Coopers. Yeah, Bradley's a Hollywood A-lister who makes all the housewives swoon. Steve, he genuinely looks like someone's just smashed in his face with a kettle. But listen, I like him. The job he's done at Forest is incredible, but he's getting sacked this year. I'm sorry, but Evangelos Marinakis, he is a lunatic when it comes to managers in Greece. Whilst chairman of Olympiakos, this bloke is so ruthless, he'd probably get rid of a coach if he suddenly wore a pink tie to work. So you can imagine it took everything in his power to be on his best behavior last season and not sack Cooper. He was probably going to be cajoled by the most important person in his life. No, not his wife, the guy who delivers pizza to his house. Forest are clearly feeling insecure from all the jokes directed at them last summer over signing too many players. So now they're barely doing anything. Bringing in ex-Chelsea right-back Ola Enya from Torino and Anthony Elanga from the Man United bench. They've also emptied their suitcase over a bridge, losing squad players like Jesse Lingard, Jack Colback, Cafu, Andre Ayew, and Will Swan. And wasn't he in Pirates of the Caribbean? Right now, this club is clinging under Brendan Johnson. Like a 10-year-old with anxiety separation, almost trying to sellotate their teddy bear to their foot. But it won't matter. Forest will put up a fight, yes. But Cooper will be fired by February, and Forest will drag Jorge Sampaoli out of Flamengo, but will ultimately be relegated on the final day at Burnley. Imagine how lonely it must feel to get relegated at Turf Moor. It's probably like being dumped by text as you're standing in the middle of a desolate, muddy bog. 17th Luton Town. I know, this seems nutty. Me predicting that Luton Town will stay up in the Premier League. Let's be real. Everyone thinks they've got the same survival odds as the fat one in Lost. Yeah, there's no KFC drive-thru on the beach. Search every suitcase in the plane wreckage that you want. Nobody packs a 9-month supply of beef burgers when they go on holiday. But joke's on all of you because he made it to the final episode. Yeah, why am I talking about a TV show that ended 13 years ago? Nobody knows what I'm talking about. None of you will know what a Mr. Echo is. But Luton, yes, they do play football in someone's literal back garden. Yes, their squad is so deliriously low on actual quality. Lads, they've got a 29-year-old midfielder who's been with them since the conference. Pele Ruddock Mampanzo was in their midfield when he was probably getting paid and nothing but free muffins for lunch. They have no right to survive. But Blackpool 2010 were my favourite Premier League side of all time. And it is quite fitting, actually, because they were promoted to the Premier League a day after the finale of Lost. Oh, just stop talking about the show. But they were brave under Ian Holloway. It was a similar squad to Luton's, but they still went out to try and win every match. They'd either lose 6-0 or win 4-3. And I think Rob Edwards has it in him to be a modern Ian Holloway. So go on, Luton. I reckon they will scrape their way to 36 points and survive on goal difference. Go on, Luton Town. I'm going to say the same thing that everyone probably says at a Lewis Capaldi gig. Please just survive this. I really don't want to watch them being trampled on every week. I want a Disney fairy tale ending, not a twisted, warped ending where baby Simba gets mauled by hyenas after 20 minutes of the film. That's because of the magnitude of this. If I'm right, and if Luton stay up, then you'll have to agree to get a tattoo of my face on your cheek. Deal? Deal. 16th Fulham. Look, okay, I'm not predicting Fulham to get relegated, alright? So calm down, angry Fulham fans. I know they'll be fuming with such a lowly position, but I'm sorry. There's been so much unwanted turmoil surrounding your club this summer. Alexander Mitrovic has apparently told all his mates he'll never play for Fulham ever again. And they've got both Carlos Vinicius and Raul Jimenez as the two other centre forwards. Both former Benfica goal machines, yes, but now are about as impactful as spiders in a church. So what? Honestly, Vinicius was supposed to be the next Adriano. Yeah, maybe Adriano after polishing off a tub of ice cream and a bottle of wine before bed. Marco Silva has actually showed loyalty to the club by turning down a £40 million offer from Saudi, but I reckon he'll regret that. And I think Fulham will weirdly regret that, because apparently they were lining up Graham Potter as a replacement. I'm not G. Potts' biggest fan at all. But go back a year ago. Silva was an Everton failure, while Potter was Chelsea's highest paid coach of all time. Who is the better manager? I can't actually call it. Potter wouldn't have been a bad shout for Fulham. I know giving praise to Potter comes about as naturally to me as it would to Draco Malfoy, but yeah, I think Fulham will have a pretty bad year. Their top scorer will be Damari Gray with 8 Premier League goals. This will be their second season syndrome. They'll be in and out of the bottom 3, wind up with just about 40 points. It'll be a pretty awful year. I'm sorry, okay, but if Fulham finish top half again, I will drink 5 litres of tea while standing on my head. 15th West Ham. The last thing West Ham fans want is a repeat of last year's Premier League form, but this same West Ham squad are now back in European competition again, and a harder European competition. They've also lost their captain, have yet to replace him, or sign anyone. This is Moyes' last season, I know it is. I reckon it'll be more of the same inconsistent Premier League form. There will be a huge lack of goals. More people need to wake up and realise that the Danny Ings who used to challenge for the golden boot at Southampton is long gone and in his place. It's just been past a 31-year-old with weak hamstrings and an allergy to goals. His longevity seems to be a big bag of horse wee, because this is like watching Jermaine Defoe when he was at Bournemouth and struggling for goals. But Defoe was 34, not 31. Oh, just a horrible season for West Ham. And in a year, Moyes is getting sacked for Michael Carrick. 14th, Everton. Everton haven't actually hit the 40-point mark since Carlo Ancelotti left the club. This will be same old dull as dishwater Everton. But they'll look a bit more like Burnley of 2019. Ugly, unfashionable Sean Dyche football, but they'll have their stuff together. Will rarely spend any time in the relegation zone at all. Just another season of mediocrity. I am so assured of how comfortable it will be for Everton for every game week they spend inside the bottom 3. I will empty a keg of milk all over my face. 13th, Bournemouth. A lot of people think that Bournemouth will be swallowed by second season syndrome, right? You're probably all still weeping for Gary O'Neill, but relax. Andoni Iraola is a sumptuous replacement. This will be more like the free-flowing Bournemouth from the days of Eddie Howe. They've added ambitiously in the summer. They are taking a step to the next level. I'm not going to say something stupid like
Bournemouth for Europe!
but they will absolutely stay up and pull off some giant killings. I mean, Iraola, while Real Vallecano boss, beat Real Madrid and Barcelona on a regular basis. So expect the likes of Man United, Arsenal and Chelsea to travel to this ground and lose. This will be like an Eddie Howe season. And yeah, comfortable. 13th, 12th Crystal Palace. We know what Crystal Palace are going to do. This is a team who've always finished with the points total in the 40s ever since they got promoted back to the Premier League in 2013. I mean, with Roy Hodgson in charge, they finished 14th, 11th, 12th, 14th, and 14th before the club decided that he was too old and boring and got rid. He went off to relegate Watford, and now he's back. He is now wrinklier than the suit Sean Connery was buried in. We know what we're going to get from Palace. Yes, Wilfred Zaha has gone, but they're bringing in Brazil wonder child Matheus Franca from Flamengo. I mean, I know he was born on April Fool's Day, but is this a joke? A generational talent being attracted to come and play for someone who'd probably choke on porridge? But yeah, a boring old 12th. And if Palace don't finish with a points total in the 40s, then I will walk from Newcastle to Sunderland wearing nothing but a bin bag around my waist. 11th, Brighton. This is how quickly football fans get spoilt, because finishing 11th in the Premier League is not a bad season for Brighton and Hove Albion, but that's exactly how they will perceive it after being spoilt with a 6th place finish last season. But I'm sorry, for the first time in their history, Brighton now need to be able to cope with the additional European football on a Thursday night. I would imagine it's going to scramble their brains. Even Brighton fans, so used to just playing chess with their mum every Thursday night, now they're expected to fork out for flights to Sweden and Kazakhstan. The whole experience is going to be very, very weird. They have had an interesting transfer window, and I think it will be another decent season. But with the added strain of European football on this already fragile squad, 11th is not a bad finish. It's not. So I don't want to hear any Brighton fans complaining. Like a spoiled child who gets told eat his broccoli before his cake. 11th is fine. And if Brighton somehow magically do finish inside the top half, I will spend an entire weekend buried up to my neck in sand. Yeah. An entire weekend. How would I be fed my lunch? Just begging strangers to throw their leftover chips at my face? 10th, Brentford. Why is nobody panicking at Brentford? Do they not realize they can't pick Ivan Toney until January? You know, the guy with 20 goals last year? Make no mistake about it. If he was not being forced to sit on his couch eating spaghetti and chicken nuggets for the next 6 months, you'll probably be fighting off £50 million bids from Chelsea. But Brentford aren't too fussed about replacing him. They've already mentally prepared themselves for the exit of David Raya, who right now must feel more popular than Mr. Beast. He's just an ordinary guy who spent 7 years at Blackburn Rovers in the lower leagues, and now at 27 has both Arsenal and Bayern Munich fighting over him with no Raya, no Tony. It'll be tough, but the only reason I have them still squeaking into the top half is because they have no distraction of European football. So you'll get top half, but just 9th, Burnley. We're about to witness an absolute masterclass from Burnley. I know, you're probably all thinking I've just suffered some sort of mild stroke in my brain. Yeah, unlucky. The only strokes I ever got were off my uncle. But Burnley in 9th. Newly promoted Burnley in 9th? This is a bit like seeing a homeless bloke having lunch with the king, but I'm sorry. Didn't Sheffield United do exactly that when they got promoted? Didn't newly promoted Fulham just finish 10th? Burnley were a better championship team than both. Burnley are the 6th best championship team in history, recording over 100 points, which I predicted they would do a year ago. So if I was right about Burnley then, I'm right about Burnley now. Vince and company is absolutely masterminding a 9th place finish, which would be absolutely incredible considering their transfer window has been so hideous. They've lost their goal-scoring wing talisman Nathan Tella and instead gone into the market for Nathan Redmond and Andros Townsend. Such ugly signings that the old Burnley would have made. Not the new one who were supposed to be modelling themselves on Man City. I know Pep Guardiola, weirdly, was really passionate about Redmond at Southampton, screaming in his face to tell him how good he actually was. So maybe that's why company is signing him. But yes, Burnley this season will be a pretty Burnley, which is so weird for my brain. This is Burnley we're talking about. Yes, Burnley. That ugly, dour punchline from the In-Betweeners film. Now we're supposed to find them attractive to watch. But yes, Burnley are going to be classed with a capital C. I mean, if Burnley do get relegated, I will spend 20 minutes sitting in a nice bath whilst getting my mum to throw chunks of mud at my face. 8th, Aston Villa. Aston Villa are having a saucy transfer window. They are. And those fans are probably so excited. Bringing in Yuri Tielemans, Pau Torres, Moussa Diaby, being talked about as a Champions League contender. How quickly everything can change. Because it only feels like 5 minutes ago that Aston Villa finished a Premier League season with 17 points, a goal difference of minus 49. They lost 11 games in a row, picked up 1 point between early February and mid-May. 3 wins all year. It looked like the ambitious Aston Villa of the past were now forever dead. that chapter of their lives was over, destined to be championship rubbish for the next 30 years. Yeah, less than 7 years later, and they're back in the Europa League, being managed by a guy who's won that competition 4 times. People are tipping them to crack into the Champions League spots. How quickly things change. They'll have another top season, but they will slip from 7th to 8th because, well, Europa League. 7th Tottenham. This is weird because last season I was harsh on Spurs. I mean, I was right, but harsh. I thought the Antonio Conte thing would crash, burn, and fail, and so I predicted 7th. I think they'll finish 7th again, but this is a different 7th. I don't think Ange Postecoglou will fail. I think he's a good appointment. This is all relative to expectation, because a year ago, for some reason, people were transfixed with Spurs' transfer window. I didn't get the fuss. There were outside shouts for them to challenge for the title, but now expectations are so low, the 7th will probably be seen as a minor success. I guarantee you there'll be some people who predicted Tottenham to finish in the bottom half. If Harry Kane goes to Bayern Munich, and he probably will, I guarantee you there'll be teenagers on the internet who say
Spurs will finish 14th, mega lols.
Is that what kids say? Mega lols? I mean, when I was a teenager in Ireland, I just said things like decent, gombeen, and please not tonight, Father Murphy. Spurs finishing 7th will be a good season. Postecoglou will have them playing slick, zesty football. And so yeah, without being weighed down by European football, 7th, but a good 7th. 6th, Newcastle. Newcastle are a very good team. That's all there is to it. And I said they would finish 6th last season, and everybody laughed. They laughed at me as if I just confessed to liking the music of Ollie Murs. I said they would finish above Tottenham. I might as well have told you all that the earth was flat, and that the moon was just a floating egg. I didn't go far enough, because Newcastle wound up 4th, and now a year later, I am still saying 6th, because this squad now has European football to contend with. And let's be real, it's a good squad, but as far as Champions League level squads go, it's not great. It has paper-thin depth. I'm not sure how, but players like Matt Ritchie, Javier Manquillo, and a frozen out Ryan Fraser are still hanging around the squad. Dan Burn gets in the starting 11. Name me the last time England produced a club in the Champions League where Burn would have started at left back. Leicester City in 2017, maybe? So listen, this might seem like a step back, but I'm sorry, this Newcastle squad cannot cope with the strain of midweek European footballs and still get into the top 4. Now, it'll be 6th, 5th, Arsenal. Arsenal fans will be outraged. How dare I stick them 5th? Did I not see them nearly win the league? Yeah, define nearly. They were about as close to winning the league last season as they were in 2014. The season of the Stevie G slip. Yeah. They wound up finishing 4th. I don't think Arsenal have spent very well. I mean, what is the point of Kai Havertz? And they're paying £100 million for a walking, talking potato. Okay, that's harsh. Declan Rice is a good player. And yes, admitting that almost makes me want to bite off a hole in my tongue, but still. I just think the transfer targets are a little messy. Whose idea was it to leak information that Mikel Arteta was eyeing up Brentford's Raya? How insecure is Ramsdale now going to feel? I just think the competition is so high for the top 4 now. Arsenal will still have a good season, yes. I don't even think they'll have a massive drop off. They got 84 points last season. I think they'll get 72 this time out. That's not bad. Even though Arsene Wenger used to always get point totals in the 70s, even during his apparently awful moldy banter years. The way those fans went on, you'd assume he was constantly finishing 11th and was caught selling his own armpit hair to children on the street. But yeah, a decent season for Arsenal. 5th. 4th, Chelsea. Of all the clubs in the Premier League, Chelsea are going to have the mathematical biggest improvement. But that's not exactly hard. They just finished 12th with 44 points. I think they'll get an extra 30 points. That's 10 more wins, giving them the same total they got in 2022 with Thomas Tuchel at the wheel. That's where this squad should be at, in the mid-70s. Not finishing below Fulham and Crystal Palace. This is such a different Chelsea squad. I just think the X factor is Mauricio Pochettino. Forget the stupid narratives. He is a quality coach and is at the level of a Chelsea. He is a Champions League finalist. Someone who can walk into Stamford Bridge with his chest puffed out. Potter, by comparison, was probably too weedy and nervous to even ask the lunch lady to put onions on his sandwich. I think this will be a fun season for Chelsea. They'll actually approach games with a confidence and a swagger. They'll have some Brazilian magic. Some creative samba skill. They'll be inconsistent, yes, but when they click, Pochettino ball is going to be delicious to watch. 3rd, Liverpool. There is a lot of change at Liverpool. It's been a complete midfield overhaul, by the way, but Liverpool have saucy options in attack. There's not enough here for a title challenge, no, and I think they'll be neck and neck with Chelsea all season long, but they'll squeak over the line into 3rd, purely down to just one single point. Don't forget, Liverpool are in the Europa League this season. That is a nuisance. I don't think this will be a drastic improvement. I reckon they'll get 8 more points than they did last season, because that attack is ridiculous beyond belief. But I reckon they'll still be the same dodgy defensive errors. They'll be out of the title race by early March. But yeah, third. Second, Man United. I like Man United's transfer business. Lads, I've already said this. When Ederson and Alisson both joined Man City and Liverpool, they both instantly improved their team by 22 points. Both of them, 22. Andre Onana is in their league. His distribution is absolutely stupid. An extra 22 points will get Man United to 97. I am tempted. I am really tempted to say something ridiculous like Man United will win the league thanks to their revolutionary goalie. But they won't. It won't be 22 points. It just won't, because they still don't have a world-class striker. Rasmus Højlund. It's like when they bought Chicharito. Yeah, great, but they still had Rooney up front. If Man United had signed Harry Kane, then maybe a chance, but no. I'm going to say they'll have a great season, but second. First, Man City. Who else? Man City just won the treble. I don't want to be boring and say that Man City will win a fourth straight Premier League title, but they will. Not a single team in England is close to them. And I'm sorry, but if Man City don't win the Premier League this season, then I will eat 500 grapes in one sitting on camera. Pretty sure that'll cause me to spend the next 7 hours. We being in the shower whilst getting sick of my feet. This is going to be Guardiola's 6th Premier League title. It's only 5 fewer than Sir Alex Ferguson, and he was in England for nearly 30 years. Man City are just absolutely ridiculous. They'll win it without even getting out of second gear. It's just easy for them. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Let me know in the comments, alright? I really want to get these right. Please, let me get 15 at least. Let me know your comments. Let me know your predictions in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like, subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.